The UFC seasonal press conference in preparation for the new Paramount era just took place, and at the press conference, there were two empty seats, and those two seats were reserved for the two men you're seeing on your screen right now, Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira, because it has been announced that they will be taking on each other for the BMF belt on March 7th at UFC 326. That is going to be the main event of that card. And although it's not a real undisputed title, it is still a sick fight and absolutely one that I'm okay with being a main event. This is an incredible fight. It's a huge rematch, of course. The first fight ended in a very anticlimactic way with Charles Oliveira going down with a torn esophagus, had to be stretchered out of the arena. We finally get some clarity on how that matchup will play out, and these guys aren't young in the game anymore. These guys are both top dogs in the lightweight divisions. This is going to be a sick fight. I am pumped for this fight, and yeah, a lot of legacy on the line. So I'll get into a little bit in this video of what I think about the matchup and give an early prediction or an early lean on my predictions. I don't want to give a definitive prediction before really diving into the ins and outs of this matchup. But yeah, this is a sick fight. Max Holloway coming off that win over Dustin Poirier. Charles Oliveira coming off his win over Mateusz Gamrot. Both these guys are coming off a win right now. And yeah, this is a sick fight. I mean, there's not much else to be said here. Max Holloway, we know he'll bring it every time. He seems to be more entertaining than ever now. He seems to have a lot more power in his hands at 155. I mean, we saw that drop Dustin Poirier a couple times in his last fight, and then for the BMF belt before that against Justin Gaethje, knocked him out cold in round 5 of their fight. So Max Holloway has some heavy hands. Charles Oliveira, of course, we know how great of a finisher he is. He's got dynamite in his hands as well. Great Muay Thai striking, great grappling. He has the most submissions in UFC history. So there's a lot of ways this fight can play out. I think personally, right now, I'm leaning towards Max Holloway, and that kills me to say because I am a huge fan of Charles Oliveira. If you look at the banner on my account, you'll see that he's one of my favorite fighters. So yeah, it sucks to say that, but I'm gonna be completely unbiased. I'm gonna be honest with this one. I'm leaning towards Max Holloway. I think at this stage in both their careers, I think Max Holloway looks a lot better right now. His takedown defense is really good. It's always been solid. He's never had a whole lot of problems with that. He's also not, ever since the beginning of his career when he got subbed by Dustin Poirier by that arm triangle. His submission defense has been really good as well. So I don't think he's gonna be in a whole lot of danger on the ground. And Charles Oliveira, I think on the feet, he's great. He's fantastic, but he takes a lot of risks, and I think Holloway is going to punish him for that. I think this is a fight where he's going to have to get this down to the mat, and if he can't, he's going to be stranded on the feet with one of the best boxers in the UFC. So it's going to be tough for Charles Oliveira. It's going to be a very tricky matchup by all means, but it is a very exciting one. I mean, this fight can play out a lot of different ways. And who knows? I mean, Charles Oliveira has very powerful hands, and Max Holloway, we've seen that his chin hasn't been as great as it once was. I mean, he got knocked out by Ilia Topuria. He got dropped by Dustin Poirier at his old age. So that does say something. There's a chance for Oliveira in this fight. So maybe he gets it done on the feet. Maybe he gets us down to the ground and wins it on the ground. Or maybe Max Holloway schools him on the feet. There's a lot of ways this fight can play out. I'm very pumped for it. I'm not a big fan of the BMF belt personally. I think it's a little cheesy. I don't like there being belts in the sport outside of undisputed or interim, I guess, in some cases when it's necessary. But if it gives us banger fights like this, it is what it is. I don't care. I mean, I don't mind. I'm not going to complain about it. When I have a good thing, I'm not going to bitch and moan about it. So yeah, I'm pumped for this fight. That's 3 straight exciting cards to kick off the Paramount era. I know the undercard for UFC 325 and 326 haven't been announced yet, but I mean, with main events like that, it's going to be good. There's not a whole lot else they need to do because the main event alone, that's going to deliver. We know that. So awesome stuff. And speaking of the press conference, I guess altogether, you had, of course, 3 of the fights. I think 3 of the matchups from UFC. No, 4. 4 of the matchups from UFC 324 on stage. You had Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett. They were talking to each other. It was pretty respectful between the two of them. I mean, Paddy showed a lot of respect. He's usually running his mouth, but this time around he was very respectful. Gave a lot of props to Gaethje for everything he's accomplished in his career. And Gaethje himself, he was pretty chill. He was adamant that he was going to go and deliver. He was going to bring home that interim belt. Kayla Harrison and Amanda Nunes, they talked to each other. Again, a lot of mutual respect going back and forth between those two. They've had a lot of history together. They trained at the same gym for a while, and this has been a matchup in the making for a long time, ever since Kayla Harrison started her MMA career. So, yeah, those two. You also had Sean O'Malley and Song Yadong. Not a whole lot of trash talk between the two of them, but Sean O'Malley showed up for the face-off with like a big old coat on and a coronavirus mask. So that was something. Yeah, he might get in trouble with some folks on Twitter for that, but hell of a move for Sean O'Malley there. And then Waldo, Cortez Acosta, and Derek Lewis. I think they kind of carried the press conference, I'm not going to lie, especially D-Lou. He gave some hilarious answers. So he talked about how he's going to celebrate after the fight when he goes out there and knocks out Waldo, Cortez Acosta. I don't even know if I can repeat it on YouTube. You're going to have to go back and watch it yourself. But he talked about celebrating with his wife. And if you know Derek Lewis, you know how that goes. So a lot of fun stuff at that press conference. Diego Lopez and Volk, they squared off. Not a whole lot of talk between them two. And then, of course, the big one, Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira announced for the main event of UFC 326. Yeah, I'm pumped for this fight. I'm pumped for all the cards coming up. I really like these seasonal press conferences that the UFC does. I think they should do it every quarter, honestly, or at least twice a year. I think it you get a lot of great questions, a lot of fans coming up and asking questions. It's not just the same old people at the press conferences for pay-per-views where you have them coming up asking, "Oh, how do you feel about being in this city?" or "How much does this fight mean to you?" No, it's fans coming up and asking pretty interesting questions. So it makes the press conferences actually pretty fun to watch. So I would like if they keep doing it, keep allowing it to be open to fans and the public and stuff. Got a lot of good questions out of it. So very fun stuff. And yeah, not a whole lot to talk about. I mean, it's just one fight announcement, so I'm not going to take up too much of your time. But Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira, March 7th, Las Vegas at UFC 326. That fight's going to be a banger. A lot of legacy on the line, and who knows? I mean, Max Holloway, he's put together quite a run at lightweight. Of course, he's beaten the guy dominantly who's fighting for the interim belt in January. He had a big win over Dustin Poirier. So if he goes out there and takes out another legend in Charles Oliveira, that's a hell of a lightweight resume he's accomplished since moving up. So I think he'll be inching closer to the title shot. I know Ilie Topuria holding the belt makes that a little challenging, but he's getting there. He's not too far off. And Charles Oliveira himself, I mean, he just beat Mateusz Gamrot. I know, you're not going to give him a win off or a title shot off this win over Max Holloway if he were to get it, because how dominantly he lost to Ilie Topuria. But I don't know, man. Maybe one or two more wins after this, and he's kind of undeniable for being in title contention. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Huge fights ahead. I'm excited for them. I'm excited to talk about them as we get to fight week for those cards. And yeah, I will see you tomorrow night. I'll be breaking down how UFC 323 plays out. I'm looking forward to it. See you then.